On courtside, and we'll introduce the players now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the National Indoor Arena Birmingham for the 1999 Yonex All England Open Badminton Championships. Will you please welcome on court for the gentlemen's singles final from Denmark, Gade Christensen. Opponent this afternoon for the gentlemen's single final, will you please welcome onto the court Taufik Hidayat from Indonesia. Please also welcome onto court the umpire, Mike Gilks, and the service judge, Malcolm Banham. And their team of line judges for this afternoon.
So the men's singles finalist, Gade Christensen of Denmark on the left, as we look at the two players, Taufik Hidayat, and looking at his route through to today's final. We'll look at that. Every match in 2 straight games. Semi-final against the number 3 seed, Budi Santosa of Indonesia. Won that in just 38 minutes, so he really is in tremendous form. His opponent through to today's final, well, he had a bit of a harder route. Fung Pamadi, the number 2 seed, had to beat him in the quarter-final stage, 17-16 in that second game. And then the semi-final against the reigning Olympic champion, of course 2 times winner of this All-England title, Poul-Erik Høyer Larsen, and winning surprisingly easy, 15-13, 15-7.
Gade Christensen is 22, he is the top seed and world number 1 from Copenhagen. He's topped the world rankings for almost a year thanks to wins in 4 out of 7 World Grand Prix events, full-time in the national camp.
So the 2 players, obviously Gade Christensen has the more experience, of course world number 1. Mike Gilks, the umpire for the men's singles final. And Gade Christensen, Anthony, of course, though being world number 1, would so desperately love to win this big title.
If you get ready.
Quite definitely, it's got a great tradition with the Danish players. Poul-Erik Høyer Larsen taking the title on a number of occasions, but also the great Morten Frost won this title on 4 occasions, so he almost is stepping up into the big league of the Danish players, getting one of the big titles. I know Peter's very hungry for success today.
He has actually come from a background, of course he concentrates on his singles now, but he has played a lot of doubles, former world junior men's doubles champion, and you were saying yesterday how much you felt that had stood him in great grounding for an all-purpose game.
Quite definitely, he won that title with Peter Nissen a number of years ago, and quite definitely Gade used, I expect to see a very dynamic game, trying to dominate the net. He was sensational against Poul-Erik at the front of the court yesterday, and looked very good moving back and hitting the shuttle down.
This is the men's singles final of the Yonex All England Open Championships. Between, on my right, Gade Christensen of Denmark, and on my left, Taufik Hidayat of Indonesia. Peter Gade Christensen to serve, love all, play.
So Peter Gade Christensen gets this men's singles final underway. Nancy, I know you were saying that, of course, this young Indonesian has got to hold his nerve. There was absolutely no sign of nerves in his semi-final.
Certainly not. Paul-Eric rushed to a 6-love lead from unforced errors from Taufik until he really did find his form. And I think Peter Gade will have learnt from watching that match yesterday. He knows what to expect from the Indonesian, and he knows that he's got to remain patient, the Dane. Paul-Eric, we saw losing his game plan, trying to go for winners too quickly. So Peter Gade is going to try and outmaneuver the young Indonesian before going for the winning shots.
Well, quite understandably, I think perhaps a little bit of tension out there at the moment. Yes, that's lovely.
Very good tactic employed from Peter Gade. Loves to attack down the wings of the court, that time going up the centre.
Those are the drives that you were talking about that he would probably want to employ.
3-1.
Good defensive qualities from Peter Gade. What's so impressive is how wide his base position is with his legs. He's quite a tall man, 1.84 m, so in putting that wide base position, it means he can get those low down shuttles.
Oh, it's just wide.
1-3.
He's not a player that really goes for safety all that often. Peter Gade loves to go for the lines. I think Peter Gade changed his mind initially with the lift.
Quite definitely wanted to play the net. See, he comes in, holds the shuttle, sees that Hidayat's almost looking to move forwards to attack that net, so elected to flick it, didn't hit a good length.
Service over. 1-3. Peter, if you want to.
He beat Dong Jiong in the final. Of course, Dong Jiong winner here 2 years ago. But it seems to me as if he's almost appeared out of nowhere.
That's right. Of course, with these young players, they're not really physically strong enough, especially in the men's event at the ages of 15, 16. Occasionally, in the ladies, we get someone like Amir or Dina bursting through onto the scenes in the major tournaments. But just imagine when Taufik Hidayat has probably got another 2 or 3 years of physical development, what a player he's going to be then. But it just sometimes is a little bit of a struggle for the younger player to maintain the consistency and the pressures of the big matches to get the results week in, week out.
That's a lovely shot. And I think your point emphasised by the fact that last week in the Swedish Open, Hidayat losing in the quarter-final stage to Daniel Eriksson. And here he is this week, All England final. Taking the shuttle early.
3-1, yes.
Just really caressing it across court. Again, knowing that the lift was far too short.
1-3.
That really brought about by the quality of the net play from Hidayat.
Two, three.
There's a couple of mistakes he's made with that shot.
I think he knows the pressure Peter Gade is going to make if he plays these shots flat. So what Taufik's trying to do is trying to get the shuttle going down. Just wasn't in the position to do so, but good to see him being very positive.
Again, a little backhand across the court at the net.
You don't associate explosive movement with Peter Gade, but what he does, he moves effortlessly across the court, almost glides. That means he can take the shuttle early and gives him those options.
Referee, please. Camera 5.
Well, the tournament referee,
4-2.
Simon Lasky, has been called on to court. And the umpire, Mike Jilks, just telling the referee that in fact somebody is using a flash camera. And of course that will disturb the players. Oh, that's wonderful.
Good tactical play from Hidayat. You can see that Gade is having to recover back to the centre of the court. Can't make it. Desperation tries to swing round and play a forehand, but good tactical play. It's always difficult to move back in the direction from which you've come.
He seemed to be doing everything right. He was outmanoeuvring the Indonesian.
But he's a little bit surprised by the shot from the Indonesian, the drive straight up the court, and look how quickly Hidayat's recovered. He's already back to base. That means that Gade has got to try and go for the winner.
And totally deceived in that rally by the push to the backhand.
It's one area of this young player that's impressed a lot of the players. Talking to a few coaches earlier on in the week, they were looking at Taufik Hidayat's backhand and saying it really is one of the best backhands they've ever seen. Really does get him out of trouble. It's got a lovely technique and a lot of power.
Oh, that's super. He's got good technique on all his shots, though. His overheads produces so much deception. So often we think of the Indonesian players as very hard physical workers on court, whereas he's got something a little bit special about him.
Fault.
Fault called by the umpire.
You can see the intent though from Hidayat. Stays with his racket side in towards the net. He does that on the forehand side. That enables him to make those kills. Interesting to see also though, when he goes to the backhand side, he does take a step back. Very reminiscent of the Chinese Dong Zhong and Sun Jun.
Well, once again, the Dane
5-4.
had constructed the rally so well, and then making the error on the final shot. Tremendous. Well, it's not often you see Peter Gade off balance. He's made to play that one.